for taking your time to attend this very, very, very short and interesting presentation, I promise. The slides is only about 12 slides, we'll be out of here in no time. Basically, this is for my master's course. They asked that we complete an assignment to present a small presentation. In my situation, I chose a PowerPoint to a community group. It could have been a church group, it could have been, the kids that, they do activities with the police officers. But I felt the easiest way was to contact community parents of the school I work at, in my situation, Slab Academy. So the topic of this assignment was to choose a concern, something I felt was a concern in our school, specifically referring to students. So, being that I'm a PE teacher, I decided, a great topic would be the importance of eating a healthy breakfast every morning. Specifically those students that have PE early in the morning that come to school without eating any breakfast, and sometimes the worst breakfast. I find that it's a huge problem, specifically in my class, because I see it happening all the time. The problems are always there as far as them feeling dizzy, dehydrated. So I feel this is a very important topic to discuss. And there's a lot of misconceptions about breakfast, and there's a lot of information that people might consider useful, and there's a lot of wrong information that people believe in, and they're really just myths. So I wanted to go ahead and touch base on the most important aspects of it. So daily healthy breakfast comes a long way. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this movie. Have you ever seen this movie? Okay, I love this movie. It's called The Breakfast Club. I thought it was pretty cool to put it there. So go ahead and turn your papers around. The first portion of the presentation is a very quick survey. Answer only the first 5 questions on your sheet. You don't have to be very specific, just kind of go straight to the point. And I will be collecting these, but I won't be using your name at all for my paper. You do write your name, but it's just for my information. It's not for you guys to, fear the fact that I'll be using your name on my paper. So be honest, but don't worry about being specific. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do that.
I'm probably going to trouble.
Whenever you're finished, just put your pencil or your pen down, that way I know to move on. Is that all okay? Here.
I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, just kind of like to analyze your situation and how you deal with your kids in the morning. And so we're gonna go ahead and continue. First things first. Why exactly is it that the children are not eating breakfast? Not necessarily your kids, but my students, for instance, they're not my kids. I guess they are somewhat. But I have to deal with it on a daily basis, me being a PE teacher, like I mentioned earlier, every morning, and I would say more than likely during our fitness periods, when we're doing personal fitness, I see it all the time. When kids come in, and most of the time I say, hey, you know, why is it that you feel dizzy? Or they're like, coach, I don't feel good, and they look pale. Why is it that you feel, I didn't eat breakfast, or all I had was a banana. And it's always the same, it always comes back to the same thing, poor breakfast or no breakfast at all. So let's go down the line as to the main reasons as to why the kids are not eating in the morning. And maybe you're guilty of this as well, because I'm sure in my past, my parents are the best parents to me. But even then, when I was a child, I went through this. So mom and dad have to rush to work. There's a lot you have to do. Maybe you don't only take care of one kid, you have a whole bunch of responsibilities to take care of in the morning. By the time you look at the clock, oh my God, I'm gonna be late to work, come on, let's get going. And you kind of just give them money, get yourself something to eat at school, and you know, like sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So that's a big reason. Child wakes up late, that's a very big reason as well. Especially the older kids, they usually put their alarm, but they snooze it and they snooze it and they snooze it. Mom is taking care of her own stuff, showering, getting ready for work. Next thing you know, you go in the room, your child isn't even woken up yet, still asleep. So that's a big deal too. A lot of kids nowadays with social media, they say goodnight to mom and dad, they go in the room and they're not really going to sleep. They're staying up on their phone to, you know, who knows what time, and they get hungry, they go to the kitchen, they get themselves something to eat, they sleep maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, they wake up, their stomach's still full, therefore they don't really care to have a breakfast in the morning. A bad habit. It used to happen to me. It wasn't necessarily that I was doing it on purpose, it was just kind of like, whatever, I'm leaving to work, and I barely would even eat breakfast, which is not healthy at all. Too lazy to prepare. We get caught up with, oh, we have to do eggs, or we have to make the toast, and we usually get caught up in, you know, doing quick things because of the lifestyle that we all live, where we're always in a rush. And it's not even New York, but Miami's pretty hectic as well, where everybody wakes up and we're always on the run. The best thing and the most ideal thing to do is to, you know, fix a quick breakfast. But what if you've run out of items in the fridge at the moment, and there's no such thing as quick breakfast, you decide to not have breakfast at all? Financial issues. You might not be in this situation, but there's plenty of families even in this school that have a tough time buying your weekly groceries. You know, the fact that we are, you know, capable to do that, that's a blessing. So, negligence. A lot of parents don't care for their kids, unfortunately. I see it all the time. Every teacher sees it all the time. Every parent is not a good parent, let's face it. A lot of kids grow up without parents. They get raised by grandma, grandpa that, you know, are taking medication, are sleeping in late. The kids are basically, you know, raising themselves. Misconceptions in social media, with, you know, obviously Instagram and Facebook and all of that going on. There's a lot of times in which the kids obviously want to have or want to, you know, fit into a certain criteria, or look a certain way, or be, you know, slim because it's the most beautiful thing to be. And they have this misconception about, oh, if I don't eat, I don't gain weight, and that is totally incorrect. That is the most wrong information you could possibly get. As a matter of fact, you gain more weight when you starve yourself. Okay, breakfast versus healthy breakfast. Just because you're having breakfast doesn't necessarily mean you're having a healthy breakfast. Okay, so I used to hear my mom all the time, pero al menos come cualquier cosa. Pero at the end of the day, your empty calories are not good calories. Empty calories turn into fat. Empty calories are calories such as what's on a regular Cuban bread. There really is no protein in that. It's just, what is it called?
Yeast.
Dough. Yeah, there's nothing in there except carbs, and it turns into lard. It's not good for you. It turns into fat. And although it's delicious, it's not healthy for you at all. So little to no nutrients. That's not a breakfast you should be having in the morning. You need to have a nutrient-dense breakfast to be able to get the benefits from a healthy breakfast. Let's see. Results of not eating a healthy breakfast. So I made a little chart, and you see a little boy's like falling asleep. Who goes through that all the time? I see it all the time. Even in PE, the kids are like lounging. I'm taking attendance because I have like 80-something kids. So I'm like, by the time I finish attendance, my first row kids are already like lounging. Like, what's wrong? Did you eat breakfast? I'm like, no, I'm so tired. I didn't have breakfast this morning. I'm like, well, you know, you show up to PE first period. You hardly expect to have energy or do anything if you haven't had breakfast. So school and work related. I know we're focusing on the kids, but it affects everybody. You know, when you go to work, even myself, I feel it also. You feel tired. You feel like you don't have energy to do anything. Inability to focus. Your stomach is growling. All you think about is food. You didn't eat this morning, but maybe an hour, 2 hours later, you're like, man, I'm starving, I can't wait till lunchtime. Why didn't you eat in the morning? Decreased alertness. We're not as alert and up to, on our toes as we could be. Less memory capacity. And these are all research-based. It's not stuff that I came up with. This actually, I looked it up. I have references for all of this. And then, obviously, you get in a bad mood. Everybody gets grumpy when they haven't eaten. I mean, everybody's guilty of that, even myself. Health-related, it does affect your health. You have a greater chance of gaining weight. How do you have a greater chance of gaining weight? Well, let me explain this to you. When you don't have breakfast, and you show up to work, for instance, myself, and at the moment of me waking up, maybe I ran out of time or I just didn't feel like having breakfast. An hour or 2 hours go by. It's not lunchtime yet, but I'm going past that vending machine. What do you think I'm going to do? It's easy access. I'm going to go to the vending machine. I'm going to buy myself some chips, buy myself a soda, just enough to get me past to that lunchtime. And so we tend to snack on unhealthy items when we don't eat breakfast. When we do eat breakfast, we leave the house with a full stomach. We pass that vending machine, and chances are we're not going to stop to get something to eat because our stomach's already full, and it gets us past, to our either snack time or our lunchtime. Higher risk of developing diabetes, increased possibility of high cholesterol, and high potential for high blood pressure. Okay, benefits of eating healthy breakfast for students. And I'm focused on the students here because obviously it's a school-related issue, and then it's not just our school, it's every school. Improved grades. It has been proven, and we'll talk about some facts later on, that it does improve academics. A student that comes to school with a full stomach will tend to be more focused and will tend to, pay more attention in class, be more alert, more active, participates more, rather than falling asleep. Increased concentration. Come on, let's face it, if you're hungry, we're adults, so we tend to have more focus than your typical child. I cannot work when I'm hungry. I have a tough time focusing when I'm hungry. When my stomach's growling, I start to get a headache. I'm more concerned or starting to worry more about how I feel at the moment than what I'm actually doing. So increased concentration most definitely when they eat breakfast. Weight maintenance. It goes back to the same thing. When you eat a healthy breakfast, you're more than likely going to hold off until lunchtime. You're not going to snack on the unhealthy things. And obviously you're in a better mood. Everybody's happy when they're full, right? Okay. Hopefully.
Not everyone.
Okay. Did you know?
Look at me.
Did you know? Students who eat breakfast have higher test scores than students who skip the morning meal. Now here at our school, we had a few posters downstairs that said, eat breakfast. When we were doing standardized tests, they were like, oh, eat breakfast. And I thought that was pretty cool because usually you don't see that. And I think it's important to emphasize how important breakfast is in order for the kids to concentrate, especially with such a long test like that. And this is a study the Food and Nutrition Service came up with. And this is my quote because, again, like I mentioned earlier, I go through this all the time. When a student feels like vomiting or is dizzy after an intense PE workout, usually during like our personal fitness weeks, 95% of the time, I promise you not. They have had no breakfast. That's my first question. I'm like, did you eat breakfast? No. Well, there you go. Did you eat breakfast? Yeah, what did you have? Oh, milk. What did you have? Café con leche. What did you have? A tostada from across the street. That's always their answer. I'm like, that's not breakfast. Hence why you feel the way you feel. Let's see. Okay. Take a wild guess. Raise your hand, please. Do not yell out the answer. What's the #1 most purchased item in grocery stores across America? Take a wild guess. Yes. Potato chips. Another person wants to take a guess?
Coca-Cola.
You're correct. Thais.
I know.
Soda. Soda is the #1 most purchased item in grocery stores across America. #1. What about the next question? What's the #2 most purchased item in grocery stores across America?
Maybe hot dog.
Junk food is a good guess. It is up there, but it's not #2.
Maybe hot dog.
No. Cereal. Now, we can sit here and say, and be honest, how many times a week in the morning do your kids eat breakfast before they go to school? I'll tell you this, when I was in school, I used to eat cereal for breakfast every morning. My favorite was Frosted Flakes.
I
Now,
always thought café con leche was a breakfast.
yeah, a lot of people do that. These are not so great, okay? And there's 6 items that I've listed. There's a few more, there's a lot more. But these are the things you should stay away from. And some of them, you're gonna be like, what, really? But trust me, it is for real. Cereal, specifically the sugared cereal. Again, empty calories, goes back to the same thing, no nutrition. And then if you sprinkle, if you sprinkle some sugar in there, you're not only having no nutrition in your meal, but those important things. Where we at? I'm almost done, you guys. You're having no nutrition in your meal, but you're also giving yourself a sugar rush, and then an hour or two later, you're right back down to where you started. And that's when you're going to ask for café con leche or cortadito because you can't keep up. Your energy is very low. Sugar. Pastries, not good. Skim milk. Oh, but I thought skim milk was healthy. Guess what? Why is milk recommended? Milk is recommended because of its healthy fat. Milk has a fat that our bodies need to be able to digest our foods properly. If you want to get in a diet and not take so much of your regular whole milk fat, then you would have to supplement it for like a 2% milk or an almond milk, which still substitutes for, it still has its nutrition, but it's not like, skim milk is almost like, it's skim. Even its nutrients are taken out of it. It's almost like,
Yeah, it's like water.
Correct. And that's why. Egg whites, did you guys know that?
No.
Let me tell you, there's a misconception, a huge misconception. If you don't believe me, go home and look it up. There's a huge misconception. I fell in that trap. I thought that egg whites is very important. I don't want you to think that it's not good for you. It is good for you, but so is the yolk. As a matter of fact, the majority of the protein is found in the yolk. Oh, but I have high cholesterol. Listen, for eating an egg or 2 in the morning, you're not going to rise your cholesterol. You need to be careful with the other things you eat throughout the day. Okay? Correct. The yolk is extremely nutritious. If you remove the yolk, you're eating just the white, you're basically not having eggs. So it's important. Margarine. I can't believe it's not butter. As a matter of fact, it's recommended. Once again, you're probably like, really? Butter is better than margarine and other fake spreads. Also, coconut oil is recommended to replace for butter because it still has nutrition. And I'm going to fly through all of this. These are the alternatives. So instead of cereal, have oats or oatmeal. Instead of sugar, have some fruits which have the natural sugar that will give you that, that energy that you want, but it won't give you the crash afterwards. Instead of pastries, go for 100% wheat bread. Make sure it says 100% wheat bread. Because sometimes it says wheat and it's lying to you. It's not 100% wheat. So make sure it says 100% wheat bread, whole wheat bread. Skim milk, go for 2% or whole. Egg whites, eggs with yolk. And then margarine spread, go with real butter or coconut oil. These are some studies, and I'm just going to go through a few. Just click them off through. Sorry, I'm keeping you here longer than I should. I'll be done in 3 minutes. Okay. A study from the University of Bath in the UK found that people who eat breakfast tend to engage in more physical activity in the morning than those who skip breakfast. Obviously, the more breakfast, like if you eat a healthy breakfast, you have more energy, therefore you're more than likely going to be active. I thought this one was pretty cool, referring to our kids. A study from the USDA Agriculture Research Service found that kids who eat breakfast have an easier time tackling difficult math problems than kids who skip breakfast. The test subjects consisted of kids ages 8 through 11, which are like middle school, some elementary. And then finally, check out the last one, which this affects all of us. 93% of Americans believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Everybody knows it. But check this out, only 44% of that bunch actually have breakfast every day. It's kind of those things that you're like, oh yeah, it's the right thing to do, but why aren't you doing it, right? And then finally, check out your papers. There's a post-presentation question. All I want you to do is maybe write a sentence or two about what you felt in regards to the presentation. If you learned anything new, were you surprised? Or did you know everything that I went over? And in reference to your questions at the beginning, are you gonna make some changes, in reference to your kids, etc. And that's pretty much it. There. When you're done, just leave it on the desk and you guys are free to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.